But first, as we've been hearing this morning, a Lowestoft-built lifeboat is being returned to the town today for a new lease of life. It's called Rotary Service and was built 42 years ago. It's worked in Kent, Cornwall and Ireland, but around now it should be back in Lowestoft, ready to start a new lease of life. I think it might have delayed a bit of traffic on its way there as well today. We can join our Waveney reporter Guy Campbell, who's in the town right now. Morning, Guy.
Morning, Mark. Yes, I think it has delayed maybe just one or two cars, but actually it has arrived safely on a low loader. And I must admit, Mark, when we talk about, as we often do, boats coming home, this is one with a real different story, because this lifeboat really has come home. It is now just, 20-30 feet from the actual building where it was built at the Brooke Marine site here in 1973, 72. And I have to say, Mark, it looks as though it has really done some sterling service in its time. It has, it's a classic sort of 1970s build with the orange top of the boat and the bottom, and then it's quite scarred. You can see where it's obviously crashed through the waves. And Neil Anderson's here from the Trust, which has taken on this task of refurbishing the boat. I must admit, it certainly seems as though it's done some service in its time, doesn't it?
Well, she's 42 years old now, so she's a little bit of an old girl. So we've got to treat her nice. But she came out of service with the RNLI in 1997, and then between 97 and when we bought her, she was used as a pilot cutter. So once again, she's seen some heavy weather in her time.
I can tell. And you've also, now, because another reason why it looks a little bit sort of woe begone at the moment is because you've cut off the top of this lifeboat, so it was easy to get here under certain bridges and things. And just tell us what's going to happen to that then.
Well, once the boat's been lifted off the trailer, we'll be using the crane to lift the roof back into place, which will then block up. A local company has kindly offered to weld the roof back on for us, and then the work begins in earnest. We've got engines to remove. We've got basically a complete rewire on the boat. So there's a lot of work going on.
The Thames Class Lifeboat Trust was set up about a couple of years ago, with obviously the aim of getting this lovely vessel here. So I mean, at least so far the plan's gone well. You were thinking maybe of doing it you were thinking there was an idea perhaps that it could go on its own steam, so to speak, but you were told perhaps not quite.
Yeah, the original plan was to steam her home and visit a few locations on the way where she's served and where she was with the RNLI in Dover, etc. But once our engineers had a quick look at the engines a thorough look at the engines, they sort of recommended against that. So we had to look at another plan, and that was to originally have her towed from Castletownbere in Ireland into Portland in Dorset, where she was put onto the back of the low loader. We looked at that, we discussed it with our insurers, and they said, by far that's the safest option to go.
And what is going to happen to her?
Once she's restored, we're looking at about 18 months to restore her. Once she's restored, she'll be used not only as a floating museum, because you put this amount of work in, you don't want it to just sit alongside the wall. We're also going to be used for young and disadvantaged children and adults to give them that experience of going to sea. Not necessarily in a lifeboat mode, but it will be teaching them seamanship skills, engineering skills, basic navigation skills, that sort of thing. So give them a little bit of a step up if they want to get a job offshore.
I have to say, I think it's wonderful, because it's another major part, isn't it, of Lowestoft's maritime history, which has come home in all senses of the word. We don't quite know where she's going to be floating on the water at this time, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I can see it perhaps being next to the Mincalo. Maybe it would be wonderful, wouldn't it? You'd have even more tourist attractions down there next to the lifeboat station as it is now, for people to come and see, wouldn't it?
It would certainly make sense. Obviously, we've got to go into discussions on where she's going to be moored, etc. But that would make perfect sense, because it's easily accessible to the public, as opposed to this location, which isn't quite as accessible. So we've still got to go into talks about where she's going to be moored and costs involved and that sort of thing. I would envisage it being on the water over the summer, and then maybe October time come back out of the water and get a little bit of TLC ready to go in the water the next season.
Well, at least she's here. There's a big yellow crane here, Mark, which is just getting ready to lift this vessel, as I say, just off the low loader onto a site just next to it, just a few feet away from where it was built. And really, I'm surrounded by old buildings, Mark, which I know for many people listening will be, they are still a sign of the proud boat building heritage, which of course happened here in Lowestoft, but now again, a bit like the old lifeboat here, a little bit woebegone, some of the buildings, but you never know in the future what might happen here, so we shall see.
All right, mate, it's lovely to see that coming back to home again, so close to where it was originally manufactured. So there we are, live from Lowestoft, and if you were stuck behind that former lifeboat today on the A12, you'll know exactly where it was going.